Okay, so I think we'll start, and then if people want to just join, they can just join, up to them. So I think we should start off with setting the intention for the practice this morning. So whatever that might be, it might just be to relax or to learn something new. It might be to gain some clarity in your mind, or whatever it might be, just to relax yourself from some anxiety. It doesn't really matter what. So think of an intention that you'd like to have to have for the practice. And then you can keep using this intention later on in the practice if you find yourself getting distracted or tired or bored or whatever. Then you can come back and remind yourself, oh, I'm doing this because of this. And that can help you to regain your focus or your enthusiasm for the practice. Sometimes meditation can be very slow and a little boring. This is quite normal, watching the mind do its thing can be quite slow, boring, tedious, exhausting at times when the mind is fighting with you. So when you're fighting with yourself, basically. And sometimes just reminding yourself, why am I doing this, or what do I want to get from this, can help the mind come back into a clearer sense of focus. So let's just take a moment just to set that intention, whatever that might be. Then once you've set that intention, again, just checking that your posture is nice and comfortable, nice and straight. Maybe you want to move your head from side to side just a little bit to make sure that the head isn't in a state of tension, and then just let it naturally come to a nice upright position. Back should be nice and straight. And this is the same as if you're lying down. If you're lying down, lie down on the right side, put your right arm under your head, left arm along the side, but try and keep the spine nice and straight. So maybe not too much within the head bent or legs too much bent. A nice straight line. And then once the body is in a good position, and we've set our motivation, we can then choose our object of meditation. So usually I'm teaching the mindfulness of the breath. And that's a really good one, because the breath is always with us. The breath is always changing, so we can observe the qualities without it being too monotonous, but at the same time, it's not changing so much that it's a chaotic thing that it induces more thoughts. But you can use any other method. So you can recite a mantra, perhaps, or you can visualize something, or you could meditate on the feeling. So the feelings in the body, whatever arises in the body, or perhaps just the feeling of touching the ground where you're making contact as you sit. So any of these objects can be a meditation. And the other object that can be an object of meditation is awareness itself. So that one's a little harder, but it's can lead to a very spacious result. So when you're feeling very tired in the mind, or perhaps very agitated, sometimes just being aware of the fact that you have awareness, or aware on the awareness, can help to loosen up the mind and to let go any tension. So you can use that method now if you like, but maybe first we start with the breath, and then later on I'll maybe speak a little bit more about this meditation on awareness itself. So let's begin to sit, and we'll meditate on the breath, maybe, or whatever your method is, for around about 10 minutes, and then we'll take a short little break, and then we'll start again. So when you hear the bell, I hope you can hear it, we'll start, and again at the end. Right, so begin to move the body just a little bit, maybe rubbing the hands together, generating some heat, and then palming over the eyes. Again, deep breath in, then palm it over the eyes. Right, so that's our meditation on the breath. And what we can also do is meditate on awareness itself. So to meditate on awareness itself, one of the best ways to do this is to, again, sit in our comfortable position. We keep the eyes open this time. And then just looking ahead in front of us, maybe 1 or 2 meters without focusing on anything particular. Keep the mouth slightly open. And so looking ahead, we don't focus on anything, but we're aware that we're seeing, we're aware of the awareness that we have. Right, so this way we don't focus on anything particular, so we let the mind just completely relax, let the body be quite relaxed. Eyes are relaxed and open, the jaw is slack, and we can continue to meditate in that way. So let's do that for a few moments. And you can see how that feels. It's a slightly different way. So without keeping the mind tied to the point, we relax the mind. So again, you'll hear the bell once at the start and once at the end. And just see how that method is for you. Leaving the mind spacious and aware, not following after past thoughts, not thinking of what might happen in the future. It's clear and aware. So if thoughts become too much, just become aware that you are thinking and look at the thoughts directly. And often you find when you look at the thoughts directly, they disappear. And then again, we're in this kind of spacious open awareness. And then try and remain in that again. All right, so again, we can slowly move the body backwards and forwards a little bit just to get some movement. Okay, so sometimes you might find that you want to meditate, but you also find that the body becomes a little painful or stiff, and you find that can be a little bit of a hindrance to practice. So what do you do? Maybe you've set a time, half an hour to practice or an hour to practice, but you find you can only really focus for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So then it's good to incorporate another form of meditation that maybe doesn't require you sitting still. So one of my favorites is walking meditation. And the other type is tea meditation. So I'll discuss walking meditation, and maybe next time I'll maybe go over the tea meditation, but next time maybe we can do like a whole session like that. So walking meditation is a really, really fantastic technique that you can alternate sitting and walking sessions. So usually in the walking meditation, all we do is we find a walking path. So at the moment, it's probably in the same room that you're meditating in. Hopefully you have a big enough room that you can pace forwards and backwards without it needing to turn too many times. So, I mean, if you have 5, 6, 7 meters, that's great. If your room's maybe smaller than that, maybe you can do a circuit around the room. It's not ideal, but it doesn't really matter. So the idea of the walking meditation is that we walk at first quite slowly, and we become aware of all the aspects of walking. So we don't break our awareness or our mindfulness practice or our concentration practice, but we now are doing something that enables the body to get a little bit of activity in there. And this is helpful in other ways also. So instead of a static type of meditation, we have an active type of meditation. So the method itself is quite simple. We simply be aware of what we're doing before we do it. So the intention to do the thing, and then the action. The action usually has 3 parts to it: the start of the action, the doing of the action, and the ending of the action. So like with walking meditation, we take a step with the right foot. So we intend to step, we lift the foot, we move the foot, we place the foot. Then we move the left foot, we lift, push, and put it down. So we just become aware of all the stages of the walking. And when we get to the end of our path or our track, we become aware that we're coming to the end. We become aware that we've stopped. We become aware that we want to turn. We turn around, so be aware of how you're turning. And when you get all the way around, just take maybe a breath or a moment just to clarify your practice again, clarify your intention, place your mindfulness, increase the mindfulness, and then you carry on again. So if you like, you can do that for a few minutes in between your walking and sitting sessions. So this is a very, very handy skill. once you become skilled in that, you can also use this when you're walking out and about. So instead of distracted or daydreaming while you're walking or thinking of other things, you can put it into practice, direct practice, stepping, 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 stepping. So it'll be a little faster than when you're doing the meditative style, but it's incredibly useful still, right? You become very aware of where you are, what you're doing, where you're going, what is the state of your mind while you're doing it. All right, so we can use an activity that's usually quite mindless and turn it into something very mindful. So if you'd like, we can you can do that for a few moments if you'd like to try. Or maybe I can just discuss a little bit on like a tea meditation, which is also very handy. So you can do this with any time you consume food, but what's quite nice with tea, or you can even use coffee, is that you can make a kind of a ritual out of it. So maybe you've sat for 10 minutes of meditation, and then you feel like having a little break, then you pour yourself a hot cup of tea, and then again you can start meditatively drinking it. So become aware that you're reaching for the cup, you're grabbing the cup, you're lifting the cup, you're bringing the cup. What's the smell of the tea? What's that smell? Sweet, aromatic, spicy, whatever it is. Lifting it to the lips, the temperature of the liquid, the taste of the liquid. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it bitter? Is it sweet? So all these things you notice when it's in your mouth. What is the texture? When you intend to swallow and when you do swallow. Placing the cup back down again. Picking, putting, placing. And again, just resting in the spaces in between. And then perhaps you want to take another cup, just another sip, and then again, being aware, intending to pick up the cup, lifting the cup, bringing the cup to the lips, drinking. So you can use this for all eating and drinking. But again, at first, sometimes it's easier to set aside some time in a session to do so. So that can be a method that you can use. And the last method I would like for us to practice today is the practice of metta bhavana, or it's the cultivation of loving kindness. So metta means loving kindness. It's the type of feeling of love and kindness that you have towards people that you feel very, very close to, usually a very close relative or a loved one or your partner or your child. That kind of unconditional love that you have for them, where you wish them the best and you would do anything to prevent them from suffering. A type of feeling that is very strong in the heart, where you don't have to think twice to benefit them. Right? So we try and develop this feeling of loving kindness towards ourselves, towards those we are close to, but then further extend it to people we don't know or people we're neutral towards, and then even extending it to people that we don't like or that we have problems with. And this is a way in which we can train the mind to become less focused on self, more focused on others, to be kinder, to be gentler, to be more understanding towards other people's needs and wants, but at the same time not necessarily being a doormat. So because we also wish ourselves to be happy, we wish ourselves to have that feeling of loving kindness towards ourselves. It's not that we become a doormat for others, but at the same time we break down the barriers between this feeling of friend and enemy, or people I know or people I don't know, or relatives and strangers. And this is a very, very, really important practice to have, especially at this time where there's a lot of fear and anxiety, a lot of frustration in the unknown. Sometimes we start to fear others or blame others or wish to only protect ourselves. But if we realize that we're all in the same situation together, then this loving compassion or this loving kindness really makes sense. We can understand with empathy where other people are coming from. Although their situation might be slightly different, We're all in a similar situation. We're all here trying to do our thing. So that's kind of the theory behind it. So let's practice this maybe for a few minutes. It usually doesn't take long, but you can make it as long or as short as you like. So we'll do maybe 10 minutes of this, and then we'll wrap up the session. So again, we'll hear the bell, and then I'll start giving the instruction. And while I instruct, you can go through the meditation yourself. So firstly, we start with ourselves. So it starts with the wish, may I be happy and have the causes of happiness. May I have safety and be free from fear. May I be stable. May I have what I need. May I have a lasting happiness that is beyond sorrow. So truly wishing yourself, as you would for a loved one, to be happy. And not just happy, also have all the causes for happiness to arise. And then thinking on the other side, may I be free from suffering and its causes. So insecurity, frustrations or anxiety, depression, anger, strong desires for things we can't get, all those types of sufferings. May I be free from those sufferings. Whatever type of situation is unpleasant for us, may I be free from that suffering. May I be free from the causes of suffering. So a lot of the time the causes of suffering are ignorance and not knowing how things are, being judgmental, thinking others are different to ourselves. So may I be free from those causes. So just let that sit with yourselves for a moment. May I be happy, have the causes of happiness. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And try and let that sensation of loving kindness grow in your heart. And then turning your attention to somebody who you're very close to, somebody who you love dearly. And naturally, you'll have this feeling of loving kindness for them, but let's see if we can enhance it. So may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. To truly wish them everything they need to bring them happiness. You might know specifics or in general, may they be happy, truly happy. May they have all the supporting causes and conditions for that happiness. And then thinking, may they be free from suffering. May they be free from the causes of suffering. May they be free from the suffering that arises from uncertainty or trauma. May they be free from the suffering which arises from associating negative ways with people or having a judgmental mind. Then keeping that feeling in the heart and perhaps enhancing it stronger. Think of somebody who you like, but it's not such a, like a friend or somebody, and wish them, you can think of somebody specifically, may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Think something very specific for them. May they have what they need to bring them security, safety, and happiness. May they be free from fear. May they be free from sorrow. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. And then moving to somebody that perhaps you don't really like so much. Think somebody specific. And again, since you have already this feeling of loving kindness in the heart, let's focus this loving kindness on them. May they too have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and its causes. So see if you can extend that same loving kindness to them. And then thinking of somebody that we really don't like. You know, sometimes we have this feeling that we have an enemy, somebody who really riles us up. So it doesn't matter who they are. Just think of somebody specific and think, may they too have happiness and the causes of happiness. And may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. With the same loving, friendly affection and kindness that we show those who we are so close to. May they too have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they too be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Just as I wish myself to be happy, even though I don't like this person, may they be free from suffering. May they have happiness. So letting this feeling of loving kindness grow further. May all beings in this house that I'm in have happiness and have the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So if you know who they are in your building or your house, think of them individually and wish them happiness. Wish them to be free from suffering. And then extending further, maybe all the people on your street, may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Maybe you don't know your neighbors, but you know they're there. Maybe you've just seen them and you don't know them, or maybe you do know them. You know specifically what their happiness and what their fears are. So just wishing them, may they have all the happiness. May they be free from suffering. And then spreading this further, maybe all the people in my town or city, so encompassing everybody all around you. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering, whether that's physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, ill health, worry about the future, worry about finances, worrying about housing, whatever that might be. May they be free from that. May they have the happiness which brings them stability, peace, love, all those conditions. Then expanding that further, maybe all the people in your country, may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And growing that even further, may all people on this planet, maybe not even all people, may all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. All those people in hospitals right now, all those people working to help others in hospitals, all those who are nervous and afraid, all those people stuck at home, all those people stuck outside. May they all have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So spreading that loving kindness everywhere in all the 10 directions, north, south, east, west, the intermediate points above and below. Thinking everywhere where there is a being, may they be happy. Where they are, may they be free from suffering. So bring that feeling back to the center of your heart and focus on that, or rest on that feeling for a moment, that loving kindness. And if that feeling is particularly strong, you can use that as an object of meditation in the future, that feeling of loving kindness. It's very powerful and is a wonderful object to meditate on. So when you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes or move the body a little bit. We can dedicate the merit of this practice for the benefit of all beings. That we've taken some time to get to know ourselves better, to calm the mind, to develop loving kindness. And we dedicate any virtue or positivity that we've created by doing this, again, for the benefit of all beings. Ourselves are automatically included there. All beings without exception. May they all have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and its causes. And likewise, I wish you guys happiness and the causes of happiness, and to be free from suffering. So that concludes our practice for this week. I don't know if either of you have any questions, but if you do, please ask if you'd like. Otherwise, see you again next week.
Thank you, Justin.
Pleasure.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Nee.